Welcome back. We are breezing through Women Wednesday today, and just because we call it Women Wednesday, that doesn't mean we don't have women on other days. We have on women every day, but we try to give a unique perspective because more often than not, the women are usually right because the men are like stubborn or just set in their ways, and women have this wider frame of thought, I think. So we give the women's perspective, and we give it from all sides, all different ways, and I want to thank Teisha Powell and Jen Remauro for joining us again for a second segment. We usually have a Democrat and a Republican in this segment, and we call it the Mix It Up because we don't pay anyone to come on. And all the other networks, if you see a Republican on MSNBC, he's getting paid to be a punching bag, or vice versa, like on Fox. And our guests come down to create some thoughtful conversation. You guys are doing that amazing for me today. So, and come on any other day you wish. But Women Wednesday, we like to overload our audience with a woman's perspective, which I think is important. And it's important that there's a network on TV like Newsmax that can remind America of the truths behind some of this stuff when all you see is when you're fed all this stuff from the left-wing media, how the shooters are inspired by Trump. But lo and behold, Donald Trump spoke this morning, and this is what we've found out about the Dayton, Ohio shooter.
Just came out, the Dayton situation. He was a fan of Antifa. He was a fan of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Nothing to do with Trump, but nobody ever mentions that.
So there you have it. You don't hear that on any other networks. This guy was a Trump hater, basically, and he went out and did heinous acts.
Because it doesn't fit our narrative. That's the problem we have with the liberal media, and this is why it's good to have the conservative side, because if it doesn't fit, then they're not going to set it up. So they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know it was Warren or Sanders. Let's just keep that part out. Let's just keep that part out. And it's just all trickery. That's what it is. The Democrats are here to steal this election, and they're doing everything they can. They're going as low as they can to push every blame on Trump. And we, as the conservatives, we have to push back. We have to say no more.
Jen, you come from Republican political royalty.
I do.
What are your thoughts on re-election? Is this hurting Trump?
I don't think that it's hurting him. I think that we will come together, the conservative side. It will happen. The problem with the left side is that they're brainwashed. They literally are. They think we're brainwashed, but they're the ones that are brainwashed. You can blatantly put something right in front of them with all of everything right there. Here you go, 100%. Here are your facts. They'll tell you no. And then they won't be able to give you their reasoning for saying no.
Right.
They just say no. They just start to cry and they just say no, and that's the end of it. And I think that that's going to it's going to impact the election.
We talked about this yesterday. You know, MSNBC, they're saying, well, Trump, he must reject white nationalism. He must rebuke it. He must condemn it, right? He goes out there and he gives a very presidential speech where he rebukes it, he rejects it, he condemns it, says this is not to be tolerated. And at the same time, the little bar on the bottom, like we have down there right now, it says, Trump rejects hate, stirs fear. So, like, what message are you saying? Like, just for once, say, he has rejected white nationalism.
And you know what I find amazing, and I think a lot of people don't see this? You know, like, Trump is in Manhattan. Manhattan is the melting pot of America. You can't be a racist to live in Manhattan. You know, it doesn't add up. You walk down the roads, there's so much people, international. So why isn't a Democrat really telling people that Trump cannot be a racist because he lives in Manhattan, which is the #1 melting pot in America? Why isn't anybody bringing that up? I mean, you live in New York, right? You live in New York.
Absolutely.
Don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, could you live here if you're a racist? No.
Well, I mean, everyone forgets he had the first transgender in his beauty pageant. He's letting a African American man out of jail. He's fighting for him who had life in prison to come out. I mean, this man, I don't know how everyone thinks he's so racist, and they're blaming all of these shootings on him. But meanwhile, we had Columbine, we had the Orlando nightclub shootings. Nobody ever turned around and said, "Oh, that was Clinton's fault. Oh, that was Obama's fault." Everyone came together as a nation and held hands. But instead, we're separating, and the left side is deciding to pick one person to blame instead of actually putting their heart and soul into making things better. Instead, they're just throwing BS around.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And Trump says, well, we should lock arms together as Americans come together on thoughtful gun control. And they're saying, well, he's just reading that out of the teleprompter. He doesn't really mean it. In our final minute, just let me get, you said the election is up for grabs. What's your prediction for the 2020 election?
Well, I want to say that
30 seconds.
Trump is going to win, and we just need to get the vote out. And I think that a lot of the Jamaicans, can I speak Jamaicans here?
Yeah.
I think if you're a Jamaican, you need to do what we do in Jamaica, and you need to big up Trump. That's what you guys need to do in Jamaica. Big up Trump.
Yeah.
They know what I'm talking about. That's what you guys need to do. They don't know what
Can't really do any better than her, but I will say that I hope that de Blasio does make it in New York to run so that he messes everything up for the rest of the country, because this country is not going to vote Republican. We don't vote Republican, but if he gets in, that idiot, then we have a shot with even winning New York. So we're good.
Oh, yeah, right.
We're good. We might win. He's that bad.
Teisha Powell, General Remauro, the law, the laughs, and everything that's good in life is happening here. You stay right there. Frank's going to correct all my mistakes right after this.